Hello everyone. In the field of sociolinguistics, today we'll be focusing on the two most important concepts. One is register and one is dialect. So in this lecture, we'll discuss in detail what is register and what is dialect. We'll also discuss how registers are different from dialects. Let's begin and learn today's lecture. So first we will be discussing register. What is register? Varieties of language used in different contexts. So register is a variety of language. For example, we have English language and I use different varieties of English language in different contexts. So these varieties which are used in different contexts, they are called register. For example, one context may be formal, while another context may be informal. So in a formal context, I'll be using one variety of English language. And in informal context, I'll be use another variety of English language. For example, in a formal context, for example, this might be a seminar, this might be a formal talk, this might be a meeting, business meeting, right? So a context is a formal one. So a person might say that, good morning everyone, I'm pleased to be here today. So these are words, right? Or here we have two sentences which are taken from English language. But from the words we can see that a situation is formal one. That's why formal vocabulary used here. Good morning, everyone. I'm pleased to be here today. If the context is an informal one, for example, two person, they are in cafeteria, in a marketplace, in a bus station, at home, right? Or even two friends in the classroom, or two or more than two friends in the classroom, or they are in the playground. So a person comes and he or she says that, hey guys, great to see you all. So from here, hey guys, great to see you all, these two sentences are also taken from English language. But here the context is informal one. That's why that informal vocabulary are chosen by this person. So you see that here, then what is register? From these two examples, we judged, we observed, we came to the conclusion that register is a variety of language used in a different context. So what is key point in this slide? That register changes based on situation and purpose of communication. So when we change situation or when we change the purpose of communication, so register also change. Or register is based on register changes based on situation. If I am in one context, so I'll use one variety of language. And if I am in another context, so I'll use another variety of the same language. Or if the purpose of my communication changes, so register also change. For example, the purpose of my communication is to deliver or to present a research paper to my colleagues. The purpose is, you see, a different one. Or if the purpose is to talk to my friend on a phone call. So if I am talking to my friend on the phone call, so it has another purpose. Okay, we may have some chit chat, we may have some gossip on a phone call. Or if I am in a seminar and I am delivering a speech, so the purpose change and situation also change. So if anyone changes here, if the purpose of communication changes or if situation changes, so register also changes. This is okay what they say. Let me give you another example. Like the purpose of communication might be to hold a formal meeting. Okay, or the purpose of communication might be, okay, that you are discussing a picnic planning. Before you go to picnic, you plan something. So if the purpose of communication is to discuss a picnic plan, so you will use one variety of language. And if the purpose of communication is to hold a meeting, so you will use another variety of the same language. And when the purpose changes, so situation also changes. Fine. Now, what is dialect then? Definition: varieties of language used by different group of people. So when different group of people use a variety of language, we call it a dialect. For example, let's take the example of this region where I live, that is Khyber Pakhtunkhwa. So one group of people who are living in Peshawar and its surrounding will use one variety of Pashto language, that is called Yusufzai dialect. And if you go further towards the south and you get to Daradamkhel, Kohart, Daradamkhel, so you will find another variety of Pashto language, that will be Afridi dialect. And if you further goes, right, so and you get to Kohart, so you will find another variety of Pashto language that will call Khatak dialect. And if you go to similarly to Karag, Banu, Diai Khan, so you will come across with different varieties of the same Pashto language. So dialect is based on group of people who are using different variety of the same language. Now example, we have British English. For example, we say, I need to get to the loo. I need to get to the loo. And American English will say, I need to go to the restroom. So we have different region. One group of people are living in America and one group of people are living in Great Britain. So if somebody is living in Great Britain might say, I need to go to the loo. And if somebody is living in USA might say that I need to go to the restroom. So these varieties of the English language based on a group of people living in different region. Also, this might be based on the social class, gender and age. So what is key point here? The dialect changes based on the speaker's region or social background. So when you change a speaker's region or when you change a speaker's social background, dialect change. For example, that if a person belongs to a lower class, so he will or she will use one variety of that language. And if a person is living in like an upper class, so he or she will use another variety of the same language. And if a person is living in Peshawar, so one variety of language will be used. And if a person is living in Karak, Banu, Kohart or Diai Khan or Daradamkhel, will be used another variety of the same language. So register changes when the purpose of communication changes or when situation changes. And dialect changes when a speaker's social or regional background changes. Right? So what is key differences? Register varies according to the use and dialect varies according to user. This is very, very important. Right? These are the key points here. That register varies according to the use of language, the purpose of communication, right? Or situation. So register is based on the use of language and dialect is based on what? User of language. So dialect varies according to the users, group of people, right? And register changes or varies according to the use. These are the two very fundamental differences between dialect and register. Now, examples of register differences. Now, formal register. For example, I am writing to inform you that. And informal register will be that I just wanted to let you know that. So this is one kind of situation and this is another kind of situation. So this change is because of the use of language. Situation changes or the purpose of communication changes. I am writing to inform you that you're fired from your job. Situation is a formal one. And I just wanted to let you know that I bought a new mobile phone. Situation changes, right? Use in professional, official, or serious context. What? Formal register. Formal register is used in professional, official, or serious context. And informal register is used in casual, personal, or related, relaxed context. Right? When the context is not serious but relaxed one. Characteristics. Register, when it is a formal register, it will be polite, it will be structure. Proper structure of register will be there. Syntactic structure, no contracted form. And often uses complex vocabulary, technical vocabulary. And the characteristic of informal register, that is friendly, conversational, and often uses simpler vocabulary. So might not be complex structure is there. Observation. Both sentences convey the same meaning. I'm writing to inform you that. I just wanted to inform you that. Both convey the same meaning but use different linguistic item to suit the context. So one is a formal context, one is informal context. In a formal context, formal register. In formal context, informal register. So what is key point here? That the choice of register depends on the relationship between the speaker and the listener and the formality of situation. So they say that register depends. What is the relationship between the speaker and the listener? Right? And whether the situation is formal or informal. Now, acts of identity, communication and identity. Definition. Every time we speak or write, we express our identity and social relationship. So whenever we speak through language, whenever we speak or we write through language, we express our identity and social relationship. What is our identity? For example, when I speak, so I might represent, my identity is Peshawar region because I use Yusufzai dialect. And if you are living in Kohat, you are living in Daradam Khel, you are living in Khyber Agency, you are living in Hangu, you are living in Diyai Khan, you are living in Banu. So when you speak, so you will express through that dialect your identity. Right? So your identity is expressed when you speak or you write that language or that dialect. Similarly, that social relationship also show, for example, if I am speaking to my students, so the people might know that what is the relationship between this person and that person, because our relationship will be very, very formal, right? Because I'm holding one position and my students are holding another position. Example, that using formal language in a job interview versus using slang with friends. So when we are in interview, so we will be use formal language. And when we are with a friend, so we'll use colloquial or informal language. Now that was okay. Dialect definition shows who you are, e.g., regional or social background, because our dialect tells okay that who we are, where we belong to, whether we belong to upper class or lower class, we belong to this region or that region, we belong to educated class or uneducated class. So this is the dialect, the language we speak. Example, that a person from London might say lorry, while a person from New York says truck, because these two people belong to different region. So a person who's living in the UK or in London will say lorry, while the person who's living in the New York or USA might say truck. So this difference is okay based on region, and it shows our identity. Fine. Acts of identity. Register. Now shows that what you are doing, for example, the context or purpose of communication. Register. Example, writing a research paper versus sending a text message. If you are writing a research paper, so that is a formal context, right? The purpose of communication is different. And when you are sending a text message, it's another context, okay? And the purpose of communication also changes. So both dialect and register are important in understanding how we communicate and present ourselves. Dimension of register according to Halliday's model. So there are 3 dimensions of register, and whenever that one dimension changes, register also changes. So one is called field. First is field, the second one is tenor, and the third one that is mode. So what is field? Field is the topic of your conversation, okay? The subject of your conversation. What are you talking about, or what are you writing? This is called field. Definition: purpose and subject matter of communication. What is the purpose and what is the subject matter of communication? This refers to field. For example, discussing a scientific topic versus chatting about weekend plan. If you are discussing chatting about weekend plans, so you might use one variety of language, of the same language. And if you are discussing a scientific topic, so you will use another variety of the same language. Now key point, they feel answer why and about what the communication is taking place. So what is feel? The first dimension of register, or out of 3 dimensions, the first one is feel. Feel is the subject matter and the purpose of your communication. The second one, I'll come to the more third one. The second one is called tenor. What is tenor? Relationship between participant. For example, 2 interlocutors are there, right? What is the relationship between these 2 people? Whether they are friends, teacher-student, doctor-patient, boss and employee, manager and managing director, right? Or like vice chancellor and a professor. So what is the relationship? So when the relationship changes, register also changes. Definition: relationship between participant, for example, speaker to a boss versus speaking to a friend. If I'm speaking to my boss, so I'll use one variety of the same language, while if I'm speaking with my friends, so I'll use another variety of the same language. Key point: tenor answer to whom the communication is directed. To whom, right? So when this tenor changes, relationship changes, so register also changes. Now the third one is called mode. That is okay, the medium of your communication, whether you're writing something or you're speaking something, or you are conveying your message through written mode or oral mode. So means of communication: speech or writing, giving speech or writing an email. So key point, mode, answer, how the communication is taking place. So out of these three dimensions, if you change the field, the purpose of communication and the subject matter, register changes. If you change the mode, register changes. And if you change the tenor, relationship, register changes. Okay, we will discuss more. Reality of register. But I guess that the lecture will become then a lengthy one, so we might discuss this part of our lecture in the part 2 will be discussed in the second part of this lecture. So thank you so much. It was all about what is register, what is dialect, and how can we differentiate register from dialect. I gave you multiple examples of both. So if you have any question, any doubt, any confusion, please leave your question or leave your any point in comment section. Thank you so much.